All right, good morning. We'll get started in just a minute. Let everybody filter in. Feel free to say hello to everybody else in the chat. All right, maybe just one more minute here. And we will get going. So it looks like everybody is able to use the chat. Have to go back and forth. All right. And all right, so welcome to a information session on the Applied Data Science course here with Emeritus. My name is Jacob. I am a course lead with both the Applied Data Science and our Applied Machine Learning and Artificial Intelligence courses. I also teach mathematics in New York. So first, just a couple Zoom things for the webinar. If you do have a question that you would like to ask me, do ask that in the Q&A rather than the chat, okay? And so you should see a little Q&A button. If you'd like to ask any questions, please just use that Q&A button and pop the question in there, and then I'll just take a look periodically at the Q&A and answer any questions that you might have, okay? So again, if you have questions, ask them in the Q&A rather than the chat. The chat is harder to keep track of for me, okay? And otherwise, that should be it. You should have your microphone on mute. Should be automatically muted, and just use the Q&A button. And again, I'll check in there from time to time and see how things are going. Let's see here. All right, great. So today we're going to go through a few things. First, just introduce the faculty of the course, tell you a little bit about Emeritus, go over the overview of the Applied Data Science course, describe the learning journey, the larger Emeritus learning experience, and then we have some time for questions and answers at the end as well. All right, so let's get started with the faculty introduction. Here is me. That's me. Like I said, I teach a couple of courses with Emeritus, and I'm a mathematics teacher in New York City. And then the faculty for the course, for the Applied Data Science course, here are 3 faculty members from Columbia, Vineet, Kostas, and Hardeep, and you encounter these guys in your videos, the weekly videos, okay? But there's a mixture of professors from Columbia who deliver the video content. Here they are. In addition to that, we have Emeritus faculty who have also constructed some videos and video content. Kristen, Carmen, Fabio, and Mariana all also appear in video content for the course. So now about Emeritus. Emeritus is worldwide. We offer courses from a number of universities, including Columbia, who is a partner in this applied data science course. We've delivered courses to more than 50,000 students around the world. And here's the breakdown of where most of our students come from, okay? You'll see about a quarter of our students are from the United States. Some are in Europe, some in the Middle East, Asia Pacific. India, we have 14%, and in South America, Latin America, we have 12%. Okay, so it's pretty evenly distributed around the world with who's taking our courses. So the way that this happens is that we have content that in this case, Columbia has prepared. We also have some Emeritus lectures. These are delivered in weekly modules. You do have the opportunity to discuss all of the work with all of your peers in the course through moderated discussion boards, and then a lot of other examples of courses. Students have formed smaller student groups and things like that. And you will do a number of assignments each week, all right? Or you have an assignment every week that are graded and that you get the grading feedback on. And overall, we have, with all of that, we usually see about an 85% completion rate in our courses. So most of the students who start these courses do end up completing them. After you take your course, when you sign up, you enter into the larger Emeritus network. So it's not just that there is this one class that you take and then are done. The Emeritus has a larger kind of community and network that maintains even after you complete the course, including things like events with other Emeritus individuals. There are opportunities for startups and to pair with other people from the Emeritus network to start startups. There's an extended program access, and there are different groups that alumni of Emeritus courses have formed, and you have the opportunity to participate in all of those afterwards. All right, so let me just check the Q&A. This course, okay, so Hamza asks, I wonder if you guys teach help with improving and learning Google Data Studio and BigQuery. So this course is not really about either of those, although BigQuery is very similar to SQL, and we do discuss SQL. But this is more of a Python course. All right, so let's see a little bit more about the course itself. Every week, you'll have about roughly 8 to 10 hours of activity, all right? And that includes the live online classes with the course leads, the video content with the other faculty, and an assignment. All right, so that's a typical week that you have. There's a few office hours and live sessions that you can attend. There's recorded content that you watch, and an assignment to complete. And this is just a kind of high-level overview of some of the topics that we'll be discussing. Data analysis and visualization, distributions, sampling, hypothesis testing, regression, decision trees, clustering, and text mining. We'll have weeks on all of those. We'll get a little deeper into the schedule in just a minute here. Okay, but this is the big idea, that every week you have roughly 8 to 10 hours, and it's both content consumption and assignment completion. Yeah, and so then within each of those weeks, this is what I was mentioning, that there are faculty video lectures, there is a practice quiz typically, and a graded assignment. We have the live office hours with multiple course leads. Okay, you'll be assigned a section in the course, and there are multiple sections in the course. Every section's course lead has office hours, and you're able to attend all of the office hours. Besides for direct access to the course leads throughout the course, you also have the opportunity to use a moderated discussion board. And there are a number of applications that happen in our assignments. And again, we do have consistent live online contact with the course leads. Okay, so in the first course, which is content delivered by the 4 faculty members from Emeritus, I mentioned Mariana, Fabio, Kristen, and Carmen. So there's actually kind of 2 courses here. So the first of which is this introduction to Python for data science. Okay. And this is really to kind of get you going with Python and some of the initial kind of basic libraries and functionality to prepare you for a deeper dive in the second course into more advanced content. But this starts with just the first module is an introduction to data science, describing what is data science and just some kind of high level overview of the discipline. And then in module 2, we get into working with data types. Okay, again, this is a basic kind of Python introduction here, writing functions in Python, and then starting to use libraries and packages in Python. Those are the first 4 modules here. Then we have another 4 that go through, or 5 that go through an intermediate kind of discussion of Python. We're using the module on the Pandas library, which is the big data analysis library. Then we have a module on matplotlib, which is the plotting library. Then we have a module on random variables and statistical inference, which uses SciPy and introduces some of the ideas about distributions that are then followed up in module 9, where we work on statistical distributions and hypothesis tests. So again, this is the first of 2 chunks of courses within the applied data science work. Okay, the first of these is more introductory and really just kind of goes through week by week each of the kind of stepping stones to get into the deeper content later on. But in terms of content, besides for the introduction to Python, it's also a very introductory kind of data science topic. Okay, where we're just doing some exploratory data analysis, looking at distributions, and some basics of hypothesis tests. All right, let me take a second to answer it. Well, I'll answer the Q&A questions after I show the second course here. So the second chunk of the course is where the other lecturers from Columbia deliver the content. And these are what the modules look like there. So first it comes the introduction, and now and then the applied data science, where the video content comes from the Columbia course leads. So we have data analysis and visualization for 2 weeks. We go deeper into distributions. We discuss sampling, again, hypothesis tests. Then we get into some deeper predictive models with regression. We talk about evaluating models in Module 7, and then we get into some of the deeper machine learning models with Module 8, where we talk about classification with k-nearest neighbors. In Module 9, we discuss decision tree models. Module 10, we discuss clustering. And then in 11 and 12, we discuss text mining. All right, so let me see and answer some Q&As here. So do you provide enough time, Ryan S., do you provide enough time to help students troubleshoot lines of code and technical issues that arise when importing pandas to Python? Yes, I think so. So one of the things is that, like, with your assignments will be done through the Canvas interface. Like, they'll be done online in a web browser application where you submit your code. You actually submit the Jupyter Notebook, if you're familiar with what a Jupyter Notebook is. So if you ever have problems, you can always you'll have course leads. So somebody like me will be in charge of your section. And you can email me and I can go and I can look at your code. So in the assignments, any kind of code problems or things like that, you can say, hey, listen, I tried number 1, I'm getting this error. Take a look, let me know what you think. All right, so the course leads will be able to access your code. And then in addition to that, if it's not about the specific assignment, then the course leads will still be able to answer your questions during office hours. And finally, you have a discussion board that you can post questions on that's moderated by the course leads and that we look at and we'll answer your questions on as well. Would you recommend this program for someone who is about to finish a data analytics boot camp? Ronald, it depends. It depends on what I think that that would be guided by what your familiarity with Python is, and if you've been exposed to kind of the basic machine learning models. You know, if you've seen regression, classification, tree models, and some natural language processing, then and know how to do that in Python, this might not be the right course for you. But if it's a more general analytics boot camp and there were not, it wasn't in Python, and you didn't get into many of the machine learning models, then this would be the right class for you. Okay, but this is a good, maybe also the slide right now is a good kind of overview of some of the learning outcomes here. And so feel free to follow up there, Ronald, okay? And an anonymous attendee asks, how accommodating are office hours across various time zones? Usually pretty, you know. The thing is that we, like, right now I'm in New York, and this time in the probably like a 2 or 3 hour window here in the morning is usually when one set of office hours would be offered, and then an evening time here East Coast would be when a second set of office hours is offered. So we try to stagger the times of the office hours between the different course leads so that it is accessible. Besides that, all of the office hour sessions are recorded. So even if it is a bad time, or if the second course lead is just one of the course leads is not during a good time for you, then you can always view the recording of the office hours as well. Would Emeritus help with connecting to potential employers? Potentially. That's, you know, there's a couple of things that you could do, whether it's, you know, putting the Emeritus certificate that you get for the course up on LinkedIn at the end of the course, but also joining in with the Emeritus network. That's kind of the idea of the Emeritus network, is to help both connect past Emeritus students and also generate maybe some employment conversations and things like that. So sort of. How much coding will be necessary? A decent amount. That's really, this is what the course is to try to introduce Python and use Python to do data science. Is it necessary to know statistics? Nope, but there's going to be statistics in the course. All right. So if you don't like stats, this would be maybe not the right course. How math intensive is this course? Not very. So this math wise, yeah, I would say it's not very heavy. Most everything is more code oriented. So when we do a decision tree, we're not going to get heavy into the math behind the decision tree. We're going to talk more at a high level of what is it, what can we use it for, and then how do we implement it. You know, it's like a practical kind of introduction to data science. All right, so not very math intensive. All right, maybe your stats 101 class is about the extent of it. What database software is used? So there isn't really a big discussion about databases here. If we see anything, it's SQL, but this is more about Python, and it doesn't have a big database query component, this class. So we're not, if you're interested in learning how to navigate databases and make database queries, design databases and things like that, it's not a big emphasis in this program. Is there a break? Yeah, there are. I believe there are 2 break weeks, and I also think that we'll see a sample of a schedule here. Bastian asks, what exactly is text mining? So basically, data can come in many formats beyond our traditional kind of row and column presentation, including text document, text on a page. You know, that would be considered text mining if we engage statistically with the text. All right, so the statistics of language, I guess, is what we're interested in with text mining, doing statistics on text and language. Is it recommended that students have a working knowledge of Python before beginning? That would be better, but no, it's not necessarily. We don't anticipate that you have a deep knowledge of Python before beginning this, and hope that actually you are able to be introduced to Python through this. Okay, so this is okay to have, if you don't feel like you're incredibly strong in Python, but the more you know, the better. Is this program applicable for business intelligence analytics? Sure. Ronald, regression and classification, those are 2 examples of predictive algorithms. Hypothesis tests, A/B testing is huge in business. And then text mining, looking at sentiment of textual documents. Those are also options. So I do think that business intelligence analytics is quite relevant here. Is this session useful for a science coordinator / teacher? Absolutely. Absolutely. Both, I think that for the science teacher, understanding how you can incorporate data into your lessons and use some kind of virtual technologies like we do, I think it would be a nice experience for a science teacher, especially given everything that's going on in schools right now. Like to just experience like a digital learning environment here with coding and things, as well as to be introduced to Python and data science. In the Modules of Python for data analytics. We saw 2 more modules, e.g. data cleaning. Will that also be seen during the first part of applied data science course? I have to go back and look at that. This way. So this is data cleaning. Let's see, data cleaning. Oh, we have 2 more modules. Yeah, right. Will that be also seen during the first part of applied data science course? So it goes these 9 weeks, and then you have a final assignment for this first part of the course, and then we go into the second part of the course where this module 1, data analysis and visualization starts. Hamza, I'm confused as to if this course code focused on understanding data and knowing what to do with them. Is it to build dashboards ourselves or use apps that help build dashboards? Yeah, so we don't really build dashboards in this course. What we would be doing is we would be building and understanding how to do all of the stuff that would then populate a dashboard. All right. I mean, whatever the different things in the dashboard are, we're kind of learning how to produce those individual things, not how to then assemble them and put them in an actual dashboard. That's not quite part of the course. Instead, it's just to understand maybe not so much design of applications, but what's going on behind them. Does your curriculum cover topics on data sources and data storage? Yeah, sort of. I mean, data sources in terms of like either data files or APIs, and data storage less so. I would say you're probably thinking about storing big data in a database or something like that. No, we don't. That's not what this course is about. Will I be able to work with Python using an iPad Pro? If you have a keyboard, if you don't have a keyboard, you'll be able to. With a keyboard, it would be even easier still. All of the content is housed in a web browser for this course, so an iPad would be reasonable. The thing is that you won't be able to install most of the software that's the normal kind of day-to-day stuff for a data scientist on an iPad. You'll want an actual system run in iOS or Windows or Linux. What type of prior experience is expected with Python? None to little, but the more the better. All right, so if you're thinking about doing this, I would encourage you to just start playing around with Python a little bit. The more you know, the better and the easier it'll be. But this is an introductory course, so we don't anticipate deep knowledge of Python beforehand. Can you use Visual Basic Studio during the course when working with Python? I think you mean the Visual Studio Code text editor, Matthew, and yes, you may. Our assignments are done in Jupyter, so you'll have to do your assignments in Jupyter, but you can work in whatever Python environment you'd like to locally. Are there any group projects? No group projects. Will be the schedule of the course. Well, so this is kind of the structure of the courses. The Python for Data Science goes through the 9 weeks through these 9 modules. And then we get into the Applied Data Science, and that goes for 12 weeks. How does Python compares to other machine learning packages in terms of use in the business intelligence field? Python is the fastest growing language. I would say it's dominant. If this ends with stat sampling, it does not seem to do much more than the regression and other statistical functions already presenting Excel. Okay. I don't really know Excel very well, but I don't use it. I do know that what we're doing with data visualization, with hypothesis testing, with different statistical distributions, you know, those kinds of things are not, I mean, you could do anything in Excel because you could write a macro or something like that, but Python is a bit handier at doing some of these things. And I mean, if you're wondering, should I use Excel or Python? I don't have the answer for you. I mean, but if you're interested in programming and machine learning in some of the newer things in data science, then I would say that Python is gonna be a little bit more interesting than Excel. Rami, there is also an ML and AI program. Yes. If you wanted to come with the best bridge for me, would both programs have many modules in common? No. The ML AI coursework is math intensive, and there's also an expectation of understanding Python there. So like the ML AI program is more kind of mathematical, maybe a little bit more rigorous. And I don't know that I know a good bridge for you. I think that this course would be good preparation for that, but you'd probably also want to make sure that you take a linear algebra course or refresh your understanding of linear algebra. Will there be business case studies for machine learning models or real world business examples? We do have all of our assignments typically involve a real world data set. So yes. Is a visualization in Python only? Yep. We talked about iPad. Do we need to apply to the program? Yep. And I have a link for you in the here as well. How does Python compare to R? It's just much nicer to write with, if you want my opinion. Also, in terms of machine learning and predictive things, it's much, I would say it's a little bit better than R. How would this course prepare for postgraduate courses you offer in machine learning? Well, it depends on the course. I would say that if I compare it to the other Columbia course, this course is not as mathematical. So this is a more introductory course. If you're looking for a real rigorous, deep experience with a lot of math and you already know your way around Python, then the ML AI might be the right course for you. But this is more of this is meant to be more like an introduction. And you do get a certificate. We do not teach Tableau, it's just Python. Can you showcase how SQL looks in the finished product of the coding and program, how it would look like? I do think I have something on what the assignment looks like in here. So we'll take a look at that. And Keith says, I guess I'm asking, is it a stretch for someone who does not have a coding background to complete this course? I think no, as long as you're going to be committed. This is an introductory course, so we're not expecting a heavy lift in terms of coding. You know, we're trying to introduce these ideas of coding here. The MLAI course is a bit more rigorous, and that would be a stretch for somebody who doesn't have a coding background. So no, you do not get a certificate for the webinar. Sure, Keith. All right, let me hop back over here to the presentation, and then feel free to keep popping those questions in there, okay? And I'll jump back once I get through the slides here. Okay, so right at the end of this, the learning outcomes are that you feel comfortable with Python, using Python to perform certain algorithms that we discuss and to analyze data. That you can understand how to manipulate and access data using Python. You can visualize data. You can make predictions using data in Python. You can also use libraries like NumPy and Pandas. You can surface information from textual data like Facebook or Twitter posts. You can perform classification problems and look at relationships in big data. All right, so a little bit more about the learning experience. With Emeritus, we have a learning platform, a kit. We use Canvas to deliver the course materials. There are, again, live lectures every week with your course leads and recorded lectures from the course faculty. You have assignments with real-world applications, and you also have discussion for each week's assignment and content. So the learning facilitators or the course leads, that's somebody like me. And what we do is answer all of your questions related to the content and assignments during office hours, give you some feedback on your assignment, and we also moderate the discussion boards through the week for any additional questions. Again, every week in this course, we say that you should expect about 8 to 10 hours of time commitment. All right, and that'll take place over 5 months, over the 22 weeks. That takes the form of assignments, quizzes, discussions, and webinars. And there's always, so every week you have the ability to come into live contact with the course lead or multiple course leads. The course costs $2,350, and there's a couple of different payment options for you, and you can find more on the course page. But to get rolling in this course, you've got to apply by the 29th of June. All right, so what's today, the 16th? And this is what the certificate will look like. So at the end of this, you have a certificate that you can share, a digital certificate on LinkedIn, and so on. All right, so back to questions. So for someone, Stefan asks, for someone in finance, would this course in Python help analyze data found in balance sheets and income statements as well? My financial statements, text changes in text. Yes, absolutely. If you do anything in Excel, you can do it in Python, and probably faster and bigger and better. So I do think that would be relevant. Okay. Well, what other? I don't know. I hope that we've covered kind of the big picture in terms of content. What's going to be covered, how that happens, and what your expectations are as a student. Will this course teach me how to combine and clean different data sets into one in an automated way? Yes. Yes, it will. Great. All right, yeah. So again, the application, it looks like is the 29th here. So make sure that if you do have any other questions, you reach out, and I'm going to stick around here and answer as many questions as you have. So Emmanuel asks, during office hours, teachers answer one-on-one questions. Yeah, exactly. You can just talk to, so just like now, except for we would have a smaller group. There's almost 100 people here for this webinar. So, you know, it'll be a much smaller group, and you can just talk to your course lead about any questions that you have in the assignment or course content for the week. All right, great. Let me check the chat and make sure I didn't miss anything there. Okay, so somebody did ask about tuition assistance. I would say just contact Emeritus. I do believe they have tuition assistance. All right, well, what about schedule for live sessions? How do you manage different time zones? Again, what we try to do is we try to stagger the live sessions so so that depending, they're either in the morning or like where I am, it's either in the morning or the evening, so that different time zones have the ability to attend them. All right, so everything's not going to be just on like EST time. Emmanuel says, I graduated 10 years ago, and since then I've not used or revisited any stats. Should I be worried? No. This should be a nice kind of review of some of that stuff. And can you run through the machine learning part again? Sure. Let's see. Okay, so this is really where the machine learning kicks in, is the second half of the applied data science course, okay? With the exception of regression. But here, we look at classification problems. So whether or not, the idea here is you're trying to predict whether something is an A or a B, you know, an apple or an orange, and what are some algorithms that help you to answer those questions. We look at decision tree models. The same decision tree is the same sort of a thing. We could use it for classification, or we could use it for regression, okay? Either saying, is this an apple or an orange, or this house costs this much money. Those are kind of the two big problems, either regression or classification. And then in clustering, we encounter the third kind of problem where we don't have labels and we need to group data points together. All right, that's what happens in the clustering model module. All right, and then in text mining, these 2 weeks of text mining, we understand how to work with textual data. There. So if you have any, if you want to ask any follow-ups, or Michael, if you have any more questions on these topics here between classification, tree models, clustering, text mining, and there's also regression. But these are kind of the big three. You have regression problems, you have classification problems, and then you have clustering problems. So those are the kind of three areas of machine learning. And then we also look at how do you work with different kinds of data like text. How deep do we go into regression analysis? Not super deep. I mean, just as much as like, here, this is what regression is, here's how we can implement it, and here are some kind of slight variations on it, like polynomial regression. But you can spend a whole semester going pretty deep into all different kinds of regressors and things like that. We won't be discussing Huber regressors or verbose regression in here. But we do show the big ideas of what is linear regression, how do we do multivariate regression, how do we do things like incorporate polynomial features, and how do you do all of that using Python. 8 to 10 hours, Ryan asks, 8 to 10 hours a week and get chewed up to troubleshooting code. Yep. How do we do this? Well, one of the things that we try to do is to be accessible. I think that that's probably the biggest thing for Ryan that you'll find with this course, is that there is somebody who's accessible to ask any questions when you run into problems. So if you run into a problem and are absolutely like you can't get past it, and or there's just a problem that's not going away, you just write a note to your course lead and they'll get back to you within 24 hours of as well. Or you can also attend office hours and ask the question there, and you can post the discussion board. But there's plenty of opportunity for contact with us on the course side of things. And is Matt's background for the ML part of the course? These are not mathematically heavy introductions to the machine learning problems. What kind of regression models will be taught? Just regular old linear ordinary least squares, multivariate least squares, and using polynomial features as well. Even this course is an introductory course. Should it be required an advanced one to apply this knowledge? No, you can definitely hit the ground running and do some things after you get out of this course. And somebody asked if I have a sample assignment to show. Let me see if I can. I do. Let me just bring it up here. Share. I'm going to change my screen share here. All right. So, for example, this is one of the assignments in the Applied Data Science course. Again, this is just happening in a browser, but you'll be able to use this locally as well if you'd like. These are called Jupyter notebooks. Yeah, so student view. This is what a Jupyter notebook looks like. Again, this is just happening in the browser. And this is the first assignment of the second part of the course. Let me just takes a minute to load here. All right, and so see we have rough time expectation. There's text directions, and like we go to question 1, and it says using np.array, create a NumPy array to match the one in the example above, like this. So I would say do something like np.array 0.34, 1.2, 4.3, 2.2. And then I would put the second one and so on and so on, and then you submit it and you get information back on your grades. And there is detailed information about my grades as well once I submit. All right, so these are what the assignments end up looking like, okay? There's some sort of prompt, and then you answer those questions. Now, we also have data sets in here. There are data sets. There's a regressor. This is a regressor. So here we're building a little regression model on some data. Okay, Johan. The certificate? Sure. This is the certificate. And Ryan, do you use matrices in this course? Yeah, we use matrices. Most of it's abstracted away because it happens in NumPy, but we do have, and there are actually also a couple of additional modules. So in the first section of the course, we have a whole module on review of linear algebra. That's an extra module that you can take and view if you want to refresh your memory about matrices and matrix operations and such. Yeah, so Juan asked, are the assignments instantly graded? Yes. You hit that submit button and they're automatically graded. Somebody in the chat asked, how long do I have access to the course content post-completion? 1 year. Are there opportunities to interact with peer students? Yes, during the course, we have discussion boards where everybody can talk to each other as much as they want, and everybody always has access to those. And then, of course, you can form other groups, study groups, and such with other students as well. Is it fair to say in my resume, got a certificate from Columbia University? Yeah, this is Columbia Engineering Executive Education. Okay. All right, I'll still stick around for any more questions if you have them. And we do have a stats and linear algebra refreshers, yes. You wouldn't need to necessarily go and take another course, no. Minimum requirement for system to download software, I would say any modern computer with either Windows, Linux, or Mac operating system. Scholarships, you'd have to contact program support. I know that there is financial assistance, as we mentioned, there is tuition assistance. So contact Emeritus and ask about that. There should be. You will get a copy of this presentation. Is there an English language proficiency requirement? No, I don't believe so, but all of the content is delivered in the English language, okay? So if you struggle with the English language, that's going to be your decision, okay? Because the content this is all given in English. Are there any CU alumni discounts? Not that I'm aware of, Juan. All right. Well, yeah, so Sonuk, on a typical week, are we supposed to go through the videos, submit the assignment, and interact with the faculty? Yes. So every week, you'll have videos to watch. and an assignment to do. All right. So really the only thing that you need to do is just do the assignment, and then, you know, the video content and the course those are up to you with how much you engage in them with, but the requirements for the course is the assignment, you know. So then in addition to that, there's plenty more for you to be done, but yeah. And somebody says, I teach full-time, and will the live presentations interfere? No, the live presentation we would hope that the live presentations end up being accessible. Is this good for jumping into the AI world? Sure. We don't discuss AI much in this course, but the kind of code foundations and the other algorithms are good preparation for later engaging with artificial intelligence. All right, excellent. Again, if anybody has any additional questions they'd like to ask or things I can clarify. Does this course have any academic credits? No, like this doesn't count towards a degree at Columbia or anything like that. Would this translate over into mapping? You know, mapping and networks and stuff like that are not really the focus here, but I mean, there's libraries in Python that generate maps. So, I mean, in that sense, you'll be able to better understand it, but geographic analysis is not really a part of this course. All right, map making and such. We don't really get into that here. We could look at just how you work with geographic data a little bit, but it's not a deep dive into anything like that. Juan asked, do your lectures cover health-related topics? Me personally, maybe just a little bit, but I don't work in the health field, so I'm not, but they certainly, I guess they could. I would say that it's more about strategies and algorithms, you know. All right, excellent. Well, I hope that I was able to give you a good sense of what the course involves and what the experience will be like. Feel free to reach out to Emeritus if you need anything else. And I hope that everybody is well and safe. And again, I hope to see you guys when this course gets rolling. Okay, and you should be able to, you should get a copy of the slides and the recording from today's webinar. Okay. All right, everybody, it was a pleasure speaking with you. And again, I hope to see you soon. Bye.